World Rally Championship is go. Round one from Monte Carlo is done and dusted. It's all about Rally Sweden. Welcome to WRC the magazine. Coming up in this week's programme, we'll take an in-depth preview of round two as the teams and drivers head for the snow and ice of the Swedish forests.
Normal people cannot understand that cars can go sideways at 200 km/h on some little roads in the forest on ice.
We'll travel back in time to explore the best moments from Rally Sweden before looking ahead to why the drivers love it so much.
It's one of the best rally of the season. It's really fast.
But first, celebrating its 81st year of running, Rally Monte Carlo kicked off the 2013 championship, and it would prove to be one of the toughest Montes that the WRC has ever seen. Famous for a mixture of tarmac and ice on the same stage, as you're about to find out, this year the weather went one step further. Sebastian Loeb arrived in Monte Carlo having nominated it as one of the 4 events he will compete in this year and chasing his 7th victory in the Principality.
We're here, but for sure it's no big pressure, no real goal, just having fun.
But the big news of the weekend was the debut of Volkswagen Motorsport's Polo R. It was the first time the car had turned a wheel in competition and nobody knew what to expect. As the rally got underway, incredibly, Ogier went on to make history by taking the Polo R to a stage win on the opening test of the year.
He's done it! What a drive from Ogier! History has been made.
Sebastian, first stage of the VW, your quickest through so far?
Yeah, it's a good start, but stay calm, it's just the first stage.
So, a great start for Volkswagen, but it didn't take long before normal service was resumed. Sebastian Loeb stormed back into the lead on the following stage, and the Frenchman never looked back. The 9-times world champion built up a commanding lead of 1 minute and 20 seconds by the end of the first day. The start of the second day saw the arrival of the snow, and the battle everyone was watching was between M Sport's Fiesta of Evgeny Novikov and Citroen's Dani Sordo. The Spaniard was struggling in the increasingly difficult conditions, and despite showing spectacular car control, this spin was all it took for Evgeny to capitalise and slingshot his way into 3rd place overall. Meanwhile, former IRC Monte Carlo winner Brian Bouffier was competing in a privately run DS3, but he too would succumb to the conditions. This off on stage 11 cost him nearly 2 minutes. Down to Monaco for the 4th and final day. 5 stages scheduled with 3 runs over the most famous test of them all, the Col de Turini. At least that was the plan. The snow continued to fall, and so sparked Monte Carlo carnage. The fans revelled in the conditions, the drivers did not. Sebastian Loeb was the first man through the stage, and he was struggling to control the car in the thick snow. The Frenchman best summed up the conditions at the end of the stage.
It's undrivable. It's some wet snow. We have no grip at all. We drive like maybe in the straight 30 km/h. If you go more, you lose the car completely and you go out.
At least Loeb made it through the stage. Not so lucky was Evgeny Novikov in 3rd place. Still fighting to keep Dani Sordo at bay, this huge impact ripped a wheel from his Fiesta, and he was going no further, handing the final podium spot back to Dani. It was to get worse for M Sport. They were about to lose a 2nd car. The Fiesta of Juho Hannanen, who was running in a respectable 7th place, also became a victim of the Col de Turini. Jari-Matti Latvala was having a strong debut for the Volkswagen team, up to 5th overall, but the Finn also went off the road on stage 14, and he too would go no further. Mads Osberg suffered a big moment on the 2nd run over the Col, hitting the wall and damaging his Fiesta. He could continue, but the Norwegian lost nearly 6 minutes limping through the remainder of the stage. And so to Monte Carlo for the final service. Conditions continued to deteriorate. Something had to be done, and with 2 stages left to run, the rally was brought to an early end. Sébastien Loeb was declared the winner for the 7th time. The Frenchman, the master of Monte Carlo.
I'm happy also of the way it went, because we were dominating the rally since the start, and the feeling with the car and everything was really good. So I'm happy to win this one.
So Loeb and Eleanor sprayed the winner's champagne for the 7th time in Monte Carlo. The question is, will they return next year as a private entry to make it 8? This is how the most challenging Monte Carlo rally the WRC has ever witnessed finished. Sébastien Loeb over 1.5 minutes clear of Sébastien Ogier in 2nd. Dani Sordo confirmed in 3rd, with Mikko Hirvonen closing out the top 4. Loeb bagged the early championship lead with 25 points, 7 ahead of Ogier in 2nd. A good start to the year for Dani Sordo. He lies 3rd with 15. In the Manufacturers' Championship, the Citroën team take a familiar position at the top of the leaderboard, while in 2nd it's Volkswagen, who are more than satisfied with their World Rally Championship debut. With that, round 1 was done and dusted for the WRC boys. On then to round 2. Rally Sweden, the only full winter event on the WRC calendar. This fast forest dash is run on full snow and ice, yet it's one of the fastest rallies of the year. It requires a special tyre and a special driving style. Temperatures regularly drop lower than -25 degrees, but that doesn't stop the world's best teams and drivers from thriving in the conditions.
The rally is very exciting. It's with the snow condition, with ice, but with the proper tires, it's very, very nice drive in these conditions. No? So I'm really fast with the snowbanks, and it's really good.
The stages are fantastic, nice and flowing stages. It's changing a lot from narrow to wide. You are pushing all the time. You have the snowbanks, and I think you need to drive a bit special on the snow rally, and I think everyone is trying to adapt to that. Some drivers can do it, some drivers can't.
Yeah, it's the only rally on full snow condition with a proper snow tire with a very high grip level, so it's very enjoyable to drive there when the snow conditions are good.
It's not just the drivers who love it, don't forget the fans. Thousands travel from across Europe to brave the freezing conditions and experience the cars and drivers flying over the jumps. Some come sensibly dressed, others not so. The Scandinavian supporters quickly turn the Swedish stages into a fan-filled forest party. All these ingredients quite simply make Rally Sweden a WRC favourite.
Very slippery, icy.
Very icy.
Icy.
Join us after the break, where we'll look into the challenges the teams themselves face in temperatures 30 below freezing. And we'll take a trip down memory lane at the men who have dominated this iconic rally. Don't go away. Welcome back to WRC the magazine. Still to come as the teams and drivers head to the snow and ice of Sweden, we'll relive the best moments from this iconic event. Plus, we'll find out exactly what the drivers face this year. But first, Monte Carlo marked the start of a new era for the Support Championships with the introduction of WRC 2 and WRC 3. The WRC 2 Championship, designed to replace the outgoing Super 2000 class, is for four-wheel drive, naturally aspirated S2000 cars and the newly homologated R4 and R5 cars. Essentially, if it's four-wheel drive and not a World Rally car, it's in WRC 2. 8 drivers were on the entry list, including German hotshot Sepp Wiegand and Finnish rising star Esa-Pekka Lappi, both driving for Skoda Motorsport in Super 2000 Fabias.
For sure, this is, I think, every young driver's dream to be a factory driver, and for sure, very good opportunity to get experience from World Championship rallies and also abroad, because I've only done basically in Finland, so this is a very interesting year coming.
As the WRC2 boys got underway, Sepp Wiegand quickly outlined his astonishing talent in the difficult conditions to take the early lead from teammate Lappi, who retired on the second stage after ripping off a wheel. One Skoda was leading the class, the other was the first retirement. Germany's Armin Kramer put in a good drive in his Stoll Racing Subaru Impreza. Unable to match the pace of Wiegand ahead of him, he had to settle for second overall in Monte Carlo, but he did set the pace in the Production Cup class. Meanwhile, Ukraine's Yuri Protasov, running with the Simtek racing team, brought his Subaru R4 home in an impressive third overall. Lorenzo Bertelli had a steady start to the rally, running sixth in class. Much more comfortable on the tarmac, the Italian took a stage win on day one, but the snow did eventually catch him out, and this off on the first run over the Col de Turini sadly brought his weekend to an early close. All that left Wiegand clear at the front. The young German slid over the top of the Col de Turini on Sunday afternoon on his way to victory and made history at the same time, taking the first ever win in the WRC2 class. Perhaps most impressive of all, this was Sepp's first time in Monte Carlo.
I'm really happy about this result because it was my first rally here in Monte Carlo, the first rally on ice and snow, the first rally with my new co-driver. So I'm really happy, and it's for me it's difficult to describe my feelings in words because it's unbelievable. It's a dream. A dream comes true now.
So Sepp's final winning margin over 8 minutes clear of Kramer in second, with Yuri Protasov rounding out the top three. Rashid Al-Ketbi was fourth, followed by Mexico's Ricardo Trevino. All that means Sepp leads the championship going into Sweden, and keen to add another victory to his tally, he knows just how tough it's going to be in the Swedish forest.
Sweden especially is really fast. You need to have big balls to win this rally.
In the WRC3 category, which is for naturally aspirated two-wheel drive cars, Frenchman Sébastien Chardonnay was the only finisher. The testing conditions in Monte Carlo retired the rest of the field. Chardonnay mastered the Monte and dominated the class. The young Frenchman powered his DS3 to his first victory, taking a 25-point lead at the top of the WRC3 standings. Back now to our preview of round 2 of the championship. And if you need proof that the WRC braves all the foulest conditions that Mother Nature can throw at it, look no further than Rally Sweden. Snow and ice doesn't stop play here. The rally was first held in 1950 as a summer event and began life under the name of the Rally to the Midnight Sun. Per Fredrik Sederbaum was the first man to win the event in a BMW. Since then, Porsche 911s and of course the Scandinavian manufacturers of Volvo and Saab have all won on the Swedish snow. The rally grew and grew in popularity, attracting drivers from all over Europe, and in 1973 Rally Sweden became recognised as a World Championship event. Since then, it's been dominated by Scandinavian drivers. Stig Blomqvist holds the record of 7 wins on Swedish snow, 5 of which he took with Swedish car manufacturer Saab. His final 2 came with Audi in the iconic Quattro. Marcus Gronholm is the next most successful driver on the Swedish forest with 5 wins to his name. Although very different eras, it proves that the Scandinavian boys know exactly what they're doing on the white stuff. The only non-Scandinavian driver ever to win in Sweden is, unsurprisingly, Sebastian Loeb. The Frenchman took victory in 2004, driving a Citroën Zara. But since then, no other non-Scandinavian has come close. Petter Solberg, Marcus Gronholm, Jari-Matti Latvala and Mikko Hirvonen have locked out the top step ever since. Loeb is competing in Sweden in 2013, but he'll have his work cut out if he's to topple the Scandinavian boys.
You can have 3-4 months snow in Finland, so I don't know, maybe that helps a little bit, but we just love it. That's our kind of conditions.
Sweden tests both the cars and drivers to the ultimate limit. For the drivers, keeping warm is key, and it seems their toes suffer the most. Their race boots have an ultra-thin sole to give them more feeling on the pedals, but that comes at a price. These boots are not designed for the cold, so they use battery-powered boot warmers to keep their toes cosy during the rally. The drivers might have warm feet and heaters in the car, but nothing could have prepared Henning Solberg and co-driver Kato Menkerud for what happened on Rally Sweden 2006. It's cold enough as it is, without a carload of snow coming through your smashed windscreen. The sub-zero temperatures make working on the cars a real challenge as well. Morning service in Sweden 2010 and the thermometer reads -25. The Ford team were preparing to change the drive shaft on Mikko Hirvonen's Focus. A simple enough task for these boys under normal conditions, but that's not something you experience in Sweden. The first problem was that the oil in the jack had frozen up overnight. With the job eventually complete, just 30 minutes later the jack had frozen to the bottom of the car. The cold temperatures change everything.
It's been so cold overnight, and even though we've had the things like the jacks and everything under cover, obviously the oil's goes quite thick, and of course the jacks don't work efficiently as they normally do, like a lot of the things in these conditions.
Racing engines don't like being at -10. The electrical systems struggle, the batteries struggle. You know, the output of a car battery goes down as the temperature goes down and so on. So they do become quite difficult to start. So we have to do a lot of special preparation in the cars. Obviously, there's the cooling system. You have to make sure you don't overcool the engine. You have to have all, proper percentages of antifreeze and all the sort of things that you'd expect. The kind of oils that we put in a damper that are meant to cope with the temperatures of maybe 170, 180 degrees that you might see in Greece. Well, you go onto a stage in Sweden and you might start with a damper that's at -20. So oils don't like that kind of thing. There are not many lubricants and oils that are happy at -20.
4 components on the car that are happy at -20 are the studded winter tyres. Although the design and rules have evolved over the years, the principles remain entirely the same. Armed with 380 metal studs, Michelin's ice and snow tyre is what provides the grip the cars need to reach astonishing speeds on sheet ice.
You've got tyres that are specifically designed to cope with those conditions, lots of spikes. And of course what you do get is you get really consistent grip. You can't imagine, you don't think it's on snow and ice it's going to be inconsistent, but because of the spikes and everything, so it means you can be so progressive with all the driving style, and it's very seldom that you get caught out like on a patch of slipping mud.
But how does it work? Well, the tyre is a much thinner width than any other tyre used in the championship, decreasing the surface area and therefore increasing the pressure pushing down into the ice. This causes the studs to bite into the underlying surface and give up huge amounts of grip. The result is one of the most spectacular shows on Earth. However, for these tyres to work to their optimum performance, it requires a solid layer of ice. In 2008, the temperatures were much higher than expected and there was very little snow to be seen. Driving on studs on gravel is very, very difficult, as Henning Solberg quickly found out. So, despite the cold hands and toes, components freezing up and risking taking a face full of snow, one thing the drivers will be praying for is ice. Without it, these tyres simply do not work, and driving fast in Sweden becomes an impossibility. Still to come, we'll take a look at the classic stages to look out for in Sweden and how some of the world's best have been caught out on them. And of course, we'll hear from the teams and drivers as they prepare for this iconic rally. Welcome back to WRC, the magazine. Round 2 of the World Rally Championship is upon us and heads to the frozen forest of Rally Sweden. The wintry snowscapes of Scandinavia give us some of the most spectacular images of the year, but you have to be in the right place to catch the best action. Rally Sweden's signature stage is Frederiksberg. First run in 1991, the stage has been an integral part of the event ever since and combines everything that Sweden has to offer.
It has a bit of everything, you know, really nice big snowbank, and it has really nice flow in the start of the stage, just next to the lake. And then you dive into the forest. The road is a little bit more narrow, but a little bit faster.
Well, that section is just so fast, and when you're a driver, it's so satisfying to be able to, you know, go over crests at over 100 miles an hour and not see over the other side, but in conditions full snow. It's the feeling of satisfaction when you get to the end of it.
It's just combining great feeling for the drivers, great jumps for the spectators, and nice feature for the TV.
Everybody knows it, and it's one of those that you have to tackle every year. And yeah, some drivers in the past have made differences on that stage, so yes, it's a special one, that one.
It certainly has made a difference in the past. This famous stretch of road has caught out the world's best on more than one occasion, as 2-time World Rally champion Carlos Sainz found out in 2004. Taking too much snowbank, his Citroën Zara was sucked into the snowdrift. He did manage to power out of it, but in doing so blocked his radiator inlet.
Hay que quitarlo. Hay que abrir esto solo. Que no, que hay que quitar el radiador, la nieve del radiador. Vale, pues pare.
It forced a Spaniard to stop, where co-driver Mark Marty quickly dived to the rescue of the overheating engine, unblocking the snow. Two years later, Chris Atkinson also fell foul to the perils of Frederiksberg. The Australian went off the road and his Subaru Impreza was stuck fast. The Swedish fans eventually came to his rescue, but the impact had damaged his steering and the mistakes just kept on coming. And perhaps the most famous of them all, Harry Rovanperä fighting for the lead in 2003. He ignored the fans at the side of the road, warning him to slow down. And sure enough, he was quite literally greeted by a nasty surprise just around the corner. But the place to be for the party atmosphere and to see the cars flying through the air is without doubt Collins Crest. Run twice this year on day 1 as stages 4 and 8, Vagassen contains one of the most famous jumps in the WRC. Named after the late great Colin McRae, this famous kicker is not for the faint-hearted. An award is given to the driver who jumps the furthest. It comes as no surprise that in 2012 it was Ken Block who topped the list for the biggest leap at 37 metres. So, what's in store for 2013? Rally HQ is once again in the town of Karlstad, 260 kilometres directly west of Stockholm, but the service park is based 70 kilometres north in the Värmland region of Hagfors. The teams and drivers will face 3 days of competition, covering a total of 340 competitive kilometres. Despite the snow and ice, the other unique feature that makes Rally Sweden such a special event is that on the final day on the Mittandåsfors stage, the cars cross over the Swedish border into Norway, which inevitably sparks some fierce but friendly rivalry between the fans. It's not to be missed. 20 World Rally cars will be in Sweden. It never fails to provide the most stunning scenery and the best action. How will the new Volkswagen Polo R perform on the snow and ice? For the teams and drivers, as we've seen over the last 30 minutes, this is a test like no other. We'll leave it up to them if you need any more convincing. What is it about Rally Sweden that makes it so special?
It's white. It's one of the best rally of the season. It's really fast, and I really enjoy the feeling to be sideways with this high speed. I love to drive on snow in Sweden.
The rally itself, it's driven in Sweden and Norway, so we can combine two countries at the same time. So we don't have that in any other World Rally Championship round.
It's the only rally on proper snow conditions if the weather is really good, if they have a good winter. So it's really fantastic.
I think normal people cannot understand that cars can go sideways at 200 km/h on some little roads in the forest on ice. So that makes it really special.
Join us for round 2 of the World Rally Championship from the snow spectacular that is Rally Sweden. Until then, it's goodbye.